All right, welcome back to our Tips for Tuesday. This week, what we're covering is the butt wink. So, what is the butt wink? Well, in today's class, we were watching some of our members go through some workouts, and we are identifying a couple of folks that had it. And Angie is lucky enough to participate in this week's video. So, Angie's actually one of our members, and we saw her as she was squatting demonstrate a little bit of that butt wink. And we're going to go over what it looks like. What are the common causes for it, and then also some solutions as to try to correct that particular flaw. Okay, so we're just going to have her go ahead and face this direction here. And here's the deal, right? Everyone has what we call a natural lordotic curve. So essentially that's lumbar lordosis, right? A little concave action here in the lumbar spine. And with the butt wink, what we'll see is at some point in time during the squat range of motion, she'll lose that and go into a posterior pelvic tilt. Just go into like a little bit of a quarter squat, put your hands on your hips. Quarter squat right there, and do that like little posterior pelvic tilt. So if you can see that, right, so lordotic curve, and then she does that. That's a posterior pelvic tilt. And she's good now, but at some point in time during that squat, you're going to go ahead and witness that and see what happens. So she's going to just go ahead and do a bodyweight squat for us. So again, nice curve here, 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 and then boom, right there. You see how her hips rotated underneath her, and we lost that piece right there. Okay, go ahead and stand up. Okay, and then she reacquires that lumbar extension on the way up. All right, so let's do one more. So nice curve here in the lumbar spine. Go ahead and go down into your squat, and right, boom, right there. Okay, so we lose that piece right here. All right. Okay, so go ahead and stand up. All right, so how do we correct that? Well, if we come over to the board here, we wanted to go over a couple of things. What happens? What happens when we check out the butt wink? Well, this is the correct position right here that we want to see the hips in. So if you see I have an arrow pointing down, this is the pelvis here. Okay, the pelvis is in a neutral position. Okay, and we maintain our natural lordotic curve here. So here's your femur, your leg bone, your upper leg bone. The blue here, this is your hamstrings, and that's usually a large percentage of the time the issue with the butt winking is the person is going to have tight hamstrings. So at some point in time as they go down, the hamstring will actually pull the pelvis underneath them, which looks like this right here. So picture 2. Again, you'll have to excuse me from our artistic inabilities here. I did the best I could, but I certainly didn't get a degree in art. But this is what it looks like to a certain degree in terms of anatomy. I don't want to get too geeked out on it. But you can see here now that the pelvis is rotating underneath the femur here because of the tight hamstring where the attachment is on the pelvis. So that's a posterior pelvic tilt. So the hamstring goes from the pelvis to the tibia, the lower leg bone, and as they squat at some point in time, that tight hamstring will engage and pull the pelvis forward. Now, why is that bad? What it does is it takes the lumbar spine, okay, and rounds that lumbar spine, and what it does is it creates a shear force 3 times greater than normal. So that's just never a good thing. All right, when you go down into your squat, you want to maintain a natural lordotic curve or neutral position, right? And then this blue line here represents the erector spinae in the back as well too. So you want nice, tight, engaged erector spinae, but at some point in time, if you have tight hamstrings, it then becomes a battle between the hamstrings and the erector spinae, and the hamstrings are going to win, right? They're just going to pull that pelvis forward. All right, so that is what we look at in terms of butt winking. So corrections, how do we fix that? We're going to take you back over to Angie, and she's going to show us a couple of things here. All right, so first we want to address, I like to go from the bottom up. All right, so not only is it the hamstrings that could be the issue, but also we'll see tight heel cord and calves as well too. So we're just going to go ahead and have her sit down on the ground. All right, we're going to take a foam roller, in this case a PVC pipe, because I like to be a little more mean. All right, we're going to take this guy here, and she needs to make sure her foot is completely relaxed, so plantar flexed. If she's dorsiflexed like this, you can see she's going to be real tight and taut here in the calves. You want to be as relaxed as you can, heel cord first, and then from here she's just going to mobilize by doing some right to lefts. All right, chances are she's not going to really feel that, but if she takes that leg and puts it on top, adds a little counterweight on there, you'll start to feel it more. All right, or she can take your leg off, and if you got a buddy nearby, all right, and you can do this with them right here. Okay, press down nice and easy, not too hard. All right, and then you're just going to work your way up the calf, doing the same thing. All right, so that's calf, right? Number 2 is going to be on the box. Okay, we want to floss the hamstring. So she's going to take a lacrosse ball. She's going to pick a leg, and she's going to put the lacrosse ball underneath her hamstring. All right, and then from this position, she's just going to let the lacrosse ball knead into that hamstring tissue area. All right, and we'll spend about anywhere from 1 minute to 2 minutes on each leg. All right, and then the next piece we're going to do in terms of myofascial release is she's going to lay on her back. I'll take this for a second. And she's going to prop her feet up on the box. Okay, and she's going to scoot in as close to the box as she can, and she's going to take the ball, and then she's going to, this is called a high glute smash. Okay, so she's going to put it right under her butt, but towards the upper area of the butt, and then she's just going to rest on it. Okay, another key here is don't press hard on your legs here. Make sure these are relaxed. You want the hips to fall into the lacrosse ball and work its way into the tissue, working some nice deep tissue massage. So she would do that on both sides. With all 3 of those pieces. Okay, once she's done mobilizing, okay, or flossing, smashing, she's going to go ahead and stand up. And then we're going to do a couple of stretches as well, too. All right, so she's going to come over here to the band. And we're going to do a hamstring or posterior chain floss, as Kelly Starrett describes it. Okay, we're going to hike it up right into the crease of the hip, and she's going to get a lot of tension on that band. She's going to walk right out. Okay, now from here, I call this a track stance, right? So the back foot, she's going to be on the ball of foot, right? And then from this position here with her front knee slightly flexed, she's going to go ahead and touch the ground. Okay, now if you see somebody that has a lot of rounding in the back, you can take some blocks or pads or a box and prop the hands up if you need to, but this isn't too bad of a position for her. So there's 2 ways to do this. One, you could do a static stretch and hold this for 1 minute on each side. And while she's here, she can kind of take the hips and move left to right, and you're going to hit the different hamstring areas. Or the other thing she could do is make it more dynamic, and we'll say, hey, let's do a set of 8 to 10 of down and up. So simply is she'll bend both knees down low and then come up, hike her hips up, and she's trying to extend that knee back as far as she can. All right, and then go back down and back up. And nice and slow, about 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. She'd do about 8 to 10 reps of that and then switch sides. Okay, so that's more of a dynamic hamstring stretch. All right, and she's feeling that. So you can see Angie is definitely a good candidate for having tight hamstrings. All right, now, if you have a person that, so that's to work on somebody that has a mobility flaw. Let's say they have really lax hamstrings, and that's not the issue. Then maybe it becomes more of a mechanical flaw, right? So their hamstring flexibility checks out, looks good, but they're still getting that butt wing scenario. So how can we correct that? Well, you take away the squat depth. So in other words, where you saw her squat before, we're just going to raise her up a little bit. So we're going to have her go ahead and stand on the box here. Let's go ahead and face that way. So on the box here is about a 12-inch box, and she's going to have the corner of the box between her legs, and she's going to have hands out, chest high. All right, and then from this position here, she's going to go ahead and squat down for us, and we're going to watch that. And you can see right there, she still does it, so she's going to come back up. So 12 inches isn't quite high enough for her. She still does it about a couple more inches above the box. So we're going to raise her back up a little more, okay? And then again, from this position here, we're going to watch that lordotic curve. Good, 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 boom, and good. Okay, so come on back up. So we just bumped her up another 2 inches, so this is about 14 inches that we took her up. And you can see when she squatted, she did not have that butt wing. Let's do it one more time just to, show the folks. Okay, so nice lordotic curve here as she goes down, maintains, 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 and then back up. Okay. Now, one thing to know here is when she goes down here in the box, she is not sitting on the box. She does not go off tension with glutes and hamstrings. She simply touches her butt to the box and then comes right back up. All right, so in other words, go ahead and go all the way back down, just kind of sit on the box and then rock back. Right. Now I know that she's off tension, glutes and hamstrings, and she has to re-engage all of that to get back up. All right, so we don't want to do that. We want to maintain this. Go ahead and do one more. Good, 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 and then back up. Okay, so that is working on mechanical flaw. So really what you want to do with your folks is keep doing that type of squat until they can learn mechanically that that's the position that they need to be in as well too. Now a couple other things we could do as well from a mechanical flaw standpoint, and this one I did not show Angie in the pre-video stage, so we're going to try to just wing it, see what happens, is prone extension. This is a drill that Mark Ripito came up with too, so I really like it. So she's going to be lying prone, so on her belly. Just follow along.
Alrighty.
Yeah. And rest your forehead on your hands like this. Yep. Okay. Okay, now from this position here, she's going to bring her legs together. Okay. And she's going to go ahead and lift her legs up in the air. And she's going to lift her chest, her head and chest off of the ground as well too. So go ahead and do that, and with your hands. All right. So we are now in an extended state right here, and this just gives the person a feeling of what is it like to have lumbar extension, true lumbar extension. So by taking your head and chest off and your legs off, the ideal position is just to have your belly resting on the ground. Okay, go ahead and relax. Note here is make sure you do pick up the legs off of the ground, because if you keep your legs on the ground and you lift up, you're using your quads to help press up, all right, because you're pressing your legs into the ground. So one more time, legs up, all right, and go back down for a second. The cue here is squeeze glutes together first, 1, legs up, 2, okay, head, chest, arms up at the same time, good, and then we got that natural extension. Okay, go ahead and relax. So what we just want to say to that person is, okay, know that feeling on the floor? That's the same feeling you should have when you go down into your squat position. Okay, so that is our butt wink for this week. You can go ahead and stand up, Angie. I want to thank Angie for stepping in for the video this week. Really appreciate her help. But yeah, there's just a couple issues of why it happens. There's some other things as well too, but that's the main thing that we see in here and with other folks. So working on some corrections. If you work on the mobility stuff, over time it's going to correct itself. If it's a mechanical issue, doing drills like that, that'll help correct it as well too. All right, until next week, we'll see you later. Tips for Tuesday. We're out.